Let's talk about solo leveling, and I will be brutally honest with Sun. In the novel, the protagonist's transformation was not due to his constant training, but rather due to Yura Choi's way of investigating his order. Yura, a nurse, was intrigued to know more about Sun and his abilities. Yura began to plan all the things she was doing for him, because the opportunity to meet someone of this power, who had not yet been discovered, was the opportunity of a lifetime. But the show feels like a 5 minutes episode. I want so much more. Complete the video till the end so that you know all my feelings and my thoughts about it. Now let me explain how Sun in the novel and anime transformed into a monster in a short amount of time. System attributes. Moving on to Sun, return home now. On the morning of his return, he had just finished working out when he met his sister, Gina. Jenna was surprised to see him awake before her, as she is a student who usually wakes up at dawn to study, and it was rare for Sun to be up before her. He did his daily exercises immediately, mostly to try and get another key to a dungeon. He'd been trying for the last 4 days after finishing the final part, but unfortunately, he got nothing but random bonuses that are almost useless. It also meant that he had 4 days of statistics waiting to be applied, but with no certainty about where he wanted to put them, he needed to put a lot of thought into making a decision. As he scrutinized every aspect of the system, Song found that the strength attribute was good. Agility was crucial for stronger foes, but not as important for weaker ones. However, since it was closely related to force, it was still significant. Perception helped to detect threats and sense auras, while vitality was beneficial for health. As for intelligence, despite reaching level 27, Song didn't feel smarter or experience any improvement in his memory or mental processing speed. So he decided with himself that he didn't need for the IQ right now. After the qualities that I mentioned earlier, Sun made a decision to increase the level of agility in the system's attributes. My question for you is, if you were in Sun's position, which trait would you choose to improve and why? The novels. In episode 5, she covers chapters 16 to 20 of the web novel and chapters 18 to 21 of the manhwa. Before diving into the details, it's important to note that in the novels, the main character examined himself outside the hospital before going to the dimension. This indicates that the events involving the nurse and the sculpted body he received from his daily activities actually occurred before he was hospitalized. In the novel, he was able to easily overcome the dimension because he received a significant boost in his stats from a week of daily activities, which made him relatively overpowered. Also in the novel, the protagonist's transformation was not due to his constant training, but rather due to Yura Choi's way of investigating his order. Yura, a nurse, was intrigued to know more about the patient and his abilities. One night, she went to her friend and discussed what they knew about hunters. However, Yura became suspicious of something strange and felt the need to ask more questions, particularly about Sun's abilities. What did Yura know? When he returned to the hospital with injuries from the punishment he received for not following the system instructions, Yura noticed traces of blood on the ground. Upon checking with the patient, she found that the wound that should have been present had completely disappeared. This led her to suspect that he had used magic for healing. However, she was unsure if it was possible, and asked her friend how hunters managed to heal so quickly. The answer she got was that healers from the hunter class use magic, which is the most common way for hunters to heal themselves. Yura asked her friend again whether a hunter could heal himself if he became unconscious. However, the answer to this question is very ambiguous due to a lack of information. The only way to regenerate oneself is through a special skill possessed by the highest ranked magic monsters, and even then, only a select few possess this skill. It is an extremely rare phenomenon that a hunter has never heard of before. But I don't mean that it's impossible to happen, but in my opinion, the type of force mentioned may exist, because this nurse's information is limited to rank A. She doesn't know everything. The only place where such a formidable force can exist is the S-rank zone, where hunters possess terrifying abilities that are difficult to gather information about. There is a person who can transform into a monster, but apart from that, the abilities of hunters from the S-rank are largely unknown. Some hunters from the S rank have the ability to heal themselves completely, even when they are unconscious. While it's unlikely that a hunter will possess this ability, it's not impossible for those who are in the S rank. Yura, when knowing about the Power Sun, she wanted to get to know him, which was her right since she knew he was not at the E level that people assumed he was in that rank. She was curious about him, and to satisfy her curiosity, she decided to do some research on his profile, which she found on the hunter's website. She also remembered an important incident that she had heard about. But then she remembered overhearing others talking about Sung reawakening, although she wasn't present in the room when the conversation took place. The mention of Sung's reawakening helped her make sense of the information she found. She was aware that the topic of conversation during the Hunter Association's visit was Sun's reawakening as a high-level hunter. She feared that she might not even be able to be his friend anymore. But Yura knew what was the inevitable outcome once word got out that he wasn't S rank. However, this also meant that there was still time left. It was quite clear that nobody apart from her had any idea about his newfound power. Hence, this was her only opportunity to befriend him and gain his favor. Yura began to plan all the things she was doing for him, because the opportunity to meet someone of this power who has not yet been discovered is the opportunity of a lifetime. For example, meeting me is a rare opportunity that doesn't come every day. The potential value behind it is almost immeasurable. Some people would spend enormous amounts of money just to meet S rank, and even then, it's not guaranteed that they will get that meeting. You will pay like the money Qatar paid to buy the referees in the Asian Cup, but it is possible not to meet S rank. Yura is thrilled at all the possibilities that await her, and the grin on her face shows it. She can't stop smiling at the thought of the secret she has thought to herself. I have a request, and I hope you can help me. It's really hard when you put all your time and effort into something you love and it doesn't work. So, I was hoping you could help me by just sharing my video. If you can subscribe to my channel, click like, and leave a comment, it will help me publish the video and it will reach other people, and my dream will come true. Your support means a lot to me. Our hero transformed. The next day, Yura noticed the difference in Sun body during just 1 week. You and I exercised every day for a year in the gym, but we didn't have the change that happened to Sun in just 1 week.
Ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
So the nurses were discussing how his body had become significantly stronger in such a short time. He was no longer weak, and muscles had started to appear in his body, making him smarter and more agile. It seemed like he could become a bodybuilder in a short period. Like me. Our hero has attained tremendous power and development, but he's beginning to attract unwanted attention and struggles. He is uncomfortable with the idea of people knowing about his power, so he decides to leave the hospital and continue his training in secret elsewhere. So then Yura moved to dial his number, because she was sad that he was leaving the hospital, but that's the same thing that gave her the confidence to do it now. She realized that this was the perfect opportunity, and there was no reason to be afraid. After that, the important thing to know is that all the training and figuring out how the system works was before he left to take over his job in the dimension. After coming out, he finally went back to things from episode 4. This raised the bar and allowed him to discover his traits from inside the dimension. I found that the explanation of agility and perception was more gradual in this system compared to Sung's rushed explanations. All of this has helped us understand the evolution and transformation of this system better. After you watch the video, I would like to ask you a question about the best writer of magic in the world of anime. Do you think the writer of Solo Leveling has excelled in portraying magic better than the writers of Hunter and Black Clover? Also, what is your favorite anime that features magic and mana? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Additionally, don't forget to share your opinion on the video so that I know what type of content to publish in the future. Peace.